isn't just about what one believes or doesn't believe. It is a tribal marker, one that made him something of an exile in the culture of the Christ-haunted South. He was willing to strike a deal with an innocuous form of Christianity in order to get what he wanted out of real life. Church membership would protect him from cultural marginalization, which was to him scarier than hell. Finding Jesus was his way of asking America into his heart as his personal Lord and Savior. He was one of many, those who recognized that to be good citizens, to be good neighbors, to be at home in America, one needed to be a Christian. This Christianity didn't require one to carry a cross, just to say a prayer and to agree to certain values and norms. The collapse of the Bible Belt. Those days are changing, and fast. Increasingly, one need not be religiously identified at all, much less a regular churchgoer, to be at home in American culture. Opinion polls demonstrate this, as does the lessening of certain forms of conspicuous public piety on the part of political and cultural and business leaders. Many within the church are panicking as they see the rise of the religiously unaffiliated in America. Some see it as the death knell for Christianity, and for supernatural religion of any sort. As the rest of the country becomes more like the Pacific Northwest, some would suggest that perhaps Thomas Jefferson was right after all. The Unitarians will inherit the earth. Some suggest that the church must change or die by jettisoning those parts of the Christian message most offensive to the ambient culture. And others would suggest that the secularizing of America is another threat, like communism and secular humanism of generations past, that we should denounce angrily. Others still counsel that we ought to give up on American culture altogether and retreat into our enclaves to conserve the gospel for another day. I don't accept the narrative of progressive secularization, that religion itself will inevitably decline as humanity evolves toward more and more consistent forms of rationalism. As a matter of fact, I think the future of the church is incandescently bright. That's not because of promises made at Independence Hall, but a promise made at Caesarea Philippi. I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. Matthew chapter 16, verse 18. I believe that promise because I believe the one who spoke those words is alive and moving history toward his reign. That is not to say that the church's witness in the next generation will be the same. The secularizing forces mentioned before are real, obvious now in New England and in the Pacific Northwest, but moving toward parts of the country insulated so far from such trends. One can almost track these forces as one would a tropical depression on a hurricane radar map. The Bible Belt is teetering toward collapse, and I say, let it fall. When most people analyze the changes in the American religious landscape, they tend to do so in terms of the lens of politics and culture wars. Journalists and sociologists tend to see evangelical Christianity in terms of advance or retreat. For them, if Christianity doesn't operate in precisely the same patterns of partisan voter bloc organizing, then such constitutes a pullback from politics. And if Christians emphasize the public nature of the gospel message, the call to work for justice and righteousness, this represents a threat to American ideals of separation of church and state. Many think this way because they view Christianity the same way my college atheist friend did, as a means to something else, something real. For those who don't have theological convictions, the idea that others might is often incredible. These convictions must be about something else, money or power or fame. And there have always been those Christian leaders who have confirmed such suspicions, because they too have acted as though those things were ultimate. At their worst, Christian efforts at cultural and political engagement have been sometimes disastrous for the mission of the church. Such attempts have too often created subcultures of us versus them that divide people up.